Welcome to the Storage Rebellion Show. Join us for exclusive conversations with top storage investors and industry leaders. Here's your host, Chris Michaels.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome to the Storage Rebellion Show. Today, I'm with a good friend of mine, John Farling, one of our Storage Rebellion leaders. He's kicking off episode 2 with us, and I'm excited for our conversation today. John, thanks so much for being here, bud. I know a lot of people at this point recognize they know John Farling, but for those who don't, I'd love to get a quick introduction. We'll dive into some of your backstory today. We're going to get heavy into storage specifics, some strategies, nuts and bolts, and we'll also get into some other personal and professional development areas as well. But first, welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me on. Excited for you starting this new journey. Hopefully you keep going with it.
Yeah, Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I'm excited for this as well. I think this is one of the things you and I talked about this a little while back, that this was one of the things we feel the Storage Rebellion was missing. And I think this will be a huge value add for the members, for others who are looking to get started in self-storage. And the whole premise of this really is to go behind the scenes with high-level storage investors, operators, other industry professionals who are scaling their businesses, creating freedom. And these are topics we oftentimes talk about within our mastermind groups and our private groups, but we never had anything that was out to the public. And so I'm looking forward to this journey and excited to kick this off with you. Can you do me a quick favor? Give us the quick introduction and backstory on yourself.
Yeah. Quick. I'll keep it under 15 minutes. So my name is John Farling, live in Columbus, Ohio. Wife, 2 kids. They're younger, 11 and 8, although they're growing up fast. Yeah. Outside of that, and that's really why I do what I do is for them, and mainly free time and the freedom that I have. But back in, so I worked a sales job up until 2020. I worked that job for, I think, 11 years. And in 2014, decided I wanted more, decided that I wanted to control more of my future. And I was looking at, that's when our first kid was born. So I was looking kind of at how was I going to retire? What was that going to look like? Yeah. And realized working my 9 to 5, I wasn't going to get there. So that led me to residential real estate investing. I bought 4 single family rentals over the course of 4 years, did a fix and flip in there and just caught the bug. Like I was hooked. And 4 years is funny because that's a long time, really. And I did 1 per year, but at the time I thought I was absolutely crushing it, which 4 single family rentals, if I'd have kept them till retirement, would have been a great retirement plan. But I wanted more. I wanted to leave my 9 to 5. So kind of fast forward a little bit. I looked at everything, apartments to car washes, to office buildings, businesses, you name it, looked at it, stumbled upon self-storage and started buying those in 2019. Left my job in 2020, and now we're at 18 storage facilities.
Yeah, dude, that's fantastic. I feel like you scaled your storage business pretty quickly. And I'm curious because I know you got out of, what you were doing. You wanted to leave the 9 to 5 job. You wanted more time and freedom, especially with your family. Did you feel like once you had kids, did you feel like that shifted your entire perspective around what you wanted to maybe set out for, what you wanted to achieve? I've learned, because I got twins and they recently turned 2. But over the past 2 years, I feel like I've been learning more about myself and the things that I want to accomplish, not just for me, but for them and for my family. And so like a lot has changed the past 2 years. I'm curious to hear how some of that has evolved for you.
Yeah, well, recently, and I've heard too that you learn more from having kids than you do just by, without having kids. Yeah. I just coached, and this is a whole nother topic, but I just coached my son in basketball, and basketball was a huge part of my life growing up. And I learned a ton about myself, a lot of self-reflection, but kind of going back to, when I quit my 9 to 5 or leading up to that, kids were young. They were 2 and 3, and then 5 and 6, somewhere in there.
Mhm.
And I hated going to work and missing out during the day of just watching them grow.
Yeah.
So that really pushed me, and I didn't enjoy my job, but that really pushed me to spend more time with my family
Mhm.
and really pushed me to, just buy more storage and just keep grinding and eventually leave my 9 to 5.
Yeah. How was that for you when you first left your 9 to 5? You got kids at home. W- Walk me through that experience for you and how that felt. And maybe we can even talk about some of the things you were doing because I'm sure there's a lot of pressure to that. But I'm curious to hear what that looked like for you.
So I'll kind of start before that. So 2019, I had 2 storage facilities,
Hmm.
and I remember my last one closed in December, and I think come that January, I'm looking at these 2 sites, and they're smaller sites, and I'm like, how can I get enough passive income out of these 2 sites to quit my
Yeah,
job
right.
now? Because I was seeing the end of the road, right? I was seeing it. I saw the light, and kind of having somewhat of a breakdown too, because it was just like I'm so close. I'm not enjoying what I'm doing at work whatsoever, and I see the light at the end of the tunnel, and
Hmm.
I wanted to sprint there. Fortunately, I was able to find a third deal right after COVID hit. I mean, I remember meeting the sellers, and we stood like 20 feet apart. Wouldn't go in the same office. It was a weird time. But to answer your entire question, so I was already thinking about it. What would my expenses look like? What did we need? A big hurdle for me was health insurance. I was able to figure that out on how that kind of looked. But I also had the COVID, everyone was at home, right? And I work for
Yeah.
a small electrical contractor.
Hmm.
We were probably back in the office within a month after, COVID started, but it wasn't back to normal. So I was still
Yeah.
home a lot. So I kind of had like a warm up on
Yeah.
how life would look
Hmm.
without a 9 to 5. And I was able to quit in August. But yeah, I kind of had it was like a trial run. I had COVID to kind of prepare myself. And while I was at home, I was working real estate stuff. There was nothing going on in the 9 to 5 at that time. So I kind of had a trial run. So it made it easier. I would say my bigger adjustment was after that, probably a year or so after, kind of like, who am I? What am I
Hmm.
doing? Should I keep pushing this? Should I just chill and not buy anything else? That was probably um, more of a harder journey, maybe, than
Yeah.
just getting out of the 9 to 5.
Yeah. It's interesting how once you start creating a little bit of freedom and your business is doing well, you kind of get it to that point where it's like you achieve the thing you were after, and now you start asking yourself, is this it? What's
Yeah.
next? What else should I be doing? um, and it really sounds like you've moved into the right direction, and now you're up to 18 plus storage facilities. I definitely want to dive into the portfolio and things of that nature. So take me back. I know you said you have 18 right now. Your portfolios, I think, probably worth what, north of the 26 million range,
Yep.
if I remember that correctly. Um, oftentimes people see, like, they see just the wins, right? And they're like, John's crushing it. He's got this huge portfolio, but they don't really see all the things that led up to where you are today. And I'd love to dive into some of that. Are there any challenges along the way, maybe in the early stages, that really shaped who you became and how you got to where you are?
Yeah, I think you know, and I've been asked this question before, and I've had time to kind of reflect, but also it's somewhat of it's not the storage journey, at least so far,
Mhm.
knock on wood, that was difficult. It was the leading up to that, buying the 4 single family rentals. The first single family rental that I had
Mhm.
in 14 was a nightmare. I did everything. So I worked a sales job, and I had some leeway there, but lunchtime after 12, and we had our first kid. So baby at home. After 12, after I ate lunch, I'd go over there and work on that thing till dinner, spend some time with the kid, and then go back for a couple hours at night.
Uh,
And I did that for I think it was 4 months. That was absolutely awful. And I know people are like, "Oh, that's no big deal." Well, I was working basically 2 full-time jobs,
yeah.
newborn kid at home. My wife was working too. It was a lot, and that it shaped a lot of things. Well, I don't want to keep doing this stuff in the field because I
Mhm.
did. I mean, you name it, I did it on the house. I didn't want to do that again.
Yeah.
So I started realizing things I didn't want to do and how I wanted to spend my time. And that helped with the other single family rentals. But also, I mean, from there, I managed all the houses too. So I found the renters. I, took the money, took the payments, found the contractors to fix things. That taught me a lot too. And I think it calloused myself a little bit to self storage because you name it, what can go wrong with renters
Yeah.
in storage? The crazy things that happen is just unreal, right? So I think I was kind of callous to that, just having single family rentals. Because single family rentals are more emergency intensive, where storage is just slower moving.
Sure.
So I think that helped. And also, when I got into storage, I sold those single family rentals off. So I had equity, I had money to put into these self storage facilities.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of both things, money wise, and then just, mentally, I was able to kind of transition easier because I'd already been doing it for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. I know you just mentioned you had capital to invest in these deals. Now, this is oftentimes, especially for newer investors, I mean, they get hung up on that. Do I need capital if I want to get started in self-storage, especially for folks listening to this for the first time? Maybe they're exploring self-storage. That could be a hang up for them. I'd love for you to just quickly touch on some of that and what people can really do to get started, regardless, even if you don't have some rentals that you sold, you don't have capital to invest in your deal. What might you tell them so that they can go ahead and get started?
Yeah, this could be a whole episode on itself, but I think for myself, I like putting equity down on a storage facility or any type of property, just because the market fluctuates, right? From 2021, 2022, whatever, we were at all-time high in values. And then 2-3 years later, interest rates doubled. So now you lost a ton of value. So if you bought basically 100% funded, so you got a bank loan, private money loan, whatever, and you didn't put any equity into it, you could be underwater. Now, if it was a heavy value add, maybe you're not. But I like putting money down. But for myself, we got creative. We've always used a HELOC. So we had equity in our house. If you don't know what HELOC is, look it up. But we always used equity in our house for any real estate we've bought. Also cashed out our 401ks, which a lot of people would be like, you're nuts for doing that. But, the returns we've gotten from that, I don't know, total of $120,000. The returns that we've gotten on that money is, I couldn't even give you a number. Yeah. So we went all in. But yeah, there's other ways to do deals. I mean, you can find a partner, you can raise money, you can borrow money from family and friends. There's all kinds of ways. You can wholesale to get some money for yourself. So there's all kinds of ways to do deals if you don't have money.
Yeah, I see so many people get kind of hung up on that, right? Like they look at it so black and white. Well, I don't have money to invest, therefore I can't get started in storage. But dude, there's so many, as you just mentioned, there's so many ways to get started. There's seller financing, which is becoming even more popular now. Wholesale some deals. I got started that way. Don't look at things. This is just a quick tip for newer investors. Especially if you're getting started in storage, but any real estate. I mean, don't look at something in this world of storage as a black and white, because everything can be navigated and figured out, and you can actually do it in a way where you are eliminating risk extensively. And I wanted to touch on that because you mentioned investing, pulling out your home equity line of credit, 401. Some people might look at that and be like, that's crazy. There's too much risk there. I could lose everything. Yes, if you don't know what you're doing, right? So there is a way to structure deals and look at opportunities where you can greatly reduce your risk and make it very hard to lose. You just have to uncover that process. But I'd love to touch on that. Let's dive into, since we're on this topic, let's dive into maybe evaluating deals. And I don't want to get too heavy into it, but maybe we can touch on like the quick analysis, right? So you're looking at a property and there's a couple things you're looking to achieve. I'm assuming it's got a cash flow. I'm assuming that you're trying to eliminate risk as much as possible, but can you walk us through the quick back of the napkin? Hey, is this worth more of John's attention, or am I pushing this off my desk?
Yeah. Good question. I want to hit on something really quick about risk. It's funny because what I did, especially when I did it, I thought was risky, especially the 401k using a HELOC. But what's funny is the people that are thinking that's risky are the ones that have one job.
Yeah.
So one source of income, right? That company could fold. The industry could fold. You could get fired tomorrow because a lot of jobs, you're probably just a number. And I'm not banging on jobs because we need employees, right? Our team, we have 9 employees now. So we need employees, and that's great. But when you think of risk, what's really risky? So I just want to add that.
Yeah.
But yeah, for deals I'm looking at, I keep it as simple as possible. I could literally do it on the back of a napkin. I'm looking at cash on cash return. And for the most part, I'm looking at 20% cash on cash return. So if I'm putting 25% down as my down payment, I'm wanting that money back within 5 years through the cash flow. That's what I'm looking at. That's the main metric. Everything else is, and that can be somewhat gray, but that's the first thing I look at. Where's it at? If it's taking me 20 years to get my money back, the deal's not going to work for me. But yeah, I do, as you asked, I do want it to cash flow day one. I'm not looking to, I'm a buy and hold investor, at least for right now. I'm not looking to sell. I'm looking to continue to acquire. I'm looking just to build cash flow.
Yeah. And I'm curious, as far as when you're looking at these deals, at what point are you making an offer on them? You're looking at the quick back of the napkin. You have a rough idea. Yeah, this meets the criteria. Do you put an offer together then and there, or do you go deeper into it? What else are you looking at if you do?
My biggest thing is, so out of the 18, I don't know exactly. We've bought probably 5 to 6 that were listed. The rest were off market, direct to seller. So my strategy is, even with a broker that were listed, is my strategy is relationships. So I'm building a relationship with that seller. In fact, I'm working on a deal right now with multiple facilities, and the seller and I have been talking since 2021, I believe. So it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
Now it's gone quiet for the past few, but just started talking again. To me, it's just relationships. I'm just building relationships, and it's ongoing conversation. For the most part, like that, I'm not sending, unless it's a quick hit and they're just like, hey, give me your number. Yeah, I'll probably just send an email. But for the most part, like, I'm probably talking it through people, talking through it with people and seeing where they want to be, what price they're looking for, and then I'm seeing if I can hit it or not.
Yeah.
Listed deals, yeah, if it's something that makes sense for me in the area I want to invest in, I may send an LOI, but more likely I'm probably talking to the broker first, or at least send an email saying, hey, this is probably the range I'm in. What do you think?
Yeah.
Back in 2020, 2021, deals were moving a lot faster to where you had to basically bring your best number up front, and you had to get it in either a contract or at minimum an LOI. And I remember I sent out LOIs before and back then, and they didn't even look at them because someone already sent an agreement, purchase agreement. So, but yeah, I think times are different now to where you can kind of talk through it with the broker or the seller and figure out where they need to be, and are you close to that number?
Yeah. It's funny you bring this up, because I just had a conversation with I think it was two members recently on this specific topic, as far as, is there a script? Is there something I should be following when sending out mailers, talking to sellers? And you touched on the biggest thing. Like, yeah, there's some things we need to know about the property. We need to know about their motivation, when their likelihood to sell, if it's now or later. But at the core of all of it is building the relationship. And so, like, we have templates that we give away, right? So like mailer templates, some cold call scripts. But like I always tell people, use that as a guide, but don't live by it, because at the end of the day, this is all about relationships. So be yourself and forge a relationship with a potential seller. It's not about how many people you cold call every day, in my opinion. It's about how many relationships you built that day, because everybody's going to sell at some point. And if they choose you or not is based on the relationship that you have with them. It's funny, you've been talking to someone for 5+ years now. I got 2 sellers that I've been talking to for about 4.5. And I was like, man, I might hold the record for longest relationship going here, but it sounds like you beat it for sure.
Glad I beat your record. We'll see. We may not be close to the finish line. Who knows? We'll see.
You never know. But at the end of the day, big piece of advice to everybody listening: build those relationships more than anything else. If somebody's not ready to sell right now, don't just hang up and move on to the next one. There will come a time when they need to sell. Actually, a quick story before we move on. I had a deal in a market that we owned in. So it was back in 2021 or 20, I think 21. But anyways, we sold it in 23. There was another facility in that market that I had been trying to get my hands on since we purchased the one property in that market. And they kept giving me the no, we're not going to sell it. If we do sell it, it's going to our kids. And I was like, well, anything can happen. So I just kept following up every, call it 3 to 4 months, kept getting the same response for a couple of years. And then there was a point, and I shared this on a group call because I don't want people to make the same mistake. It got to a point where I was like, okay, like I'm going to move on. They're not going to sell it to me. They're going to clearly give it to their children, which they've told me at least a dozen times at this point. And then last year, towards the end of 2025, I was like, I'm going to give them a call and see what's going on. Wouldn't you know that they sold it and they didn't sell it to one of their family members? They didn't pass it on to their kids like they had planned to. So you just never know. I was so disappointed because I really like that facility. But like, there's way too many circumstances and things that change. Maybe the kids decided, hey, I don't want to do storage. Like, I don't want to be a part of that business. Or maybe there were some other financial hardships. You just don't know. So stay consistent, forge that relationship. I'm curious, moving on here as far as deals. So you're at 18 now. What are you doing? Maybe we can dive into sourcing deals. What are some things that have been really helpful for you as far as growing what I believe to be a pretty steady, fast growing portfolio? I mean, you've been doing this since 2000, was it 19 you started?
Yep.
So you're at 6.5, 7 years now. 18 facilities, I think, is doing really good. Take us through that a little bit.
As far as finding them, or what are you looking for?
Yeah, as far as finding the deals, you and I have talked on building a list, and we can touch on that a little bit. As far as I remember, you're not one of the guys that's trying to grow a massive list. Is that correct?
No, I'm live in Ohio, and I've bought everything so far in Ohio. So the list can only be so big.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking. Now I do have one in Columbus here. So that's a one-off, but the rest of them are in small towns. So for the most part, like, I don't remember exact number of storage facilities in Ohio. I want to say it's around 2,000. Mm-hmm. Out of 2,000, how many of those am I really interested or able to buy? Probably less than half. So my list is definitely shorter. Yeah, I mean, we send mailers, we call, email.
How often are you doing that?
What's that?
How often are you doing that?
So it's funny you asked that, because I was just thinking I need to hit some of my my hot list. Haven't hit them in a couple months. But yeah, we've got probably 20 to 30 sites that we try to hit, I don't know, 2 or 3 times a year, just to be top of mind if and when they're ready to sell. Otherwise, I've got my assistant. She's sending out 200 mailers a month, and then she's making follow-up calls after that. So that's what we're doing right now. And obviously I'm looking at lists of deals, and it's funny because there's been so many deals for sale in Ohio in the past 3-4 months. I don't know what's happened. Everyone in Ohio seems to be selling. I don't know if it's good or bad thing, but lately, past 3 months, 90 days, there's just been a ton of deals to work through. But it's also consistency. I was talking to someone yesterday. Actually, someone messaged on Facebook about a podcast that I did, something about how I acquired 18 storage facilities. And she said something along the lines of, how'd you find all those? And how'd you find those that pencil out, that makes sense, money-wise? She's like, because I've just kind of given up. And I'm like, I want to say, well, you just answered your own question. You gave up. Mm-hmm. The last deal I just bought was in December, so 90 days ago. deal I bought before that was I think 22, 21 months prior to that. It's almost 2 years. There's a dry spell there. Now we had some growth operationally, which was great, but you're going to have dry spells. We also were not consistent in sending out mailers. We just started doing that about 9 months ago, and that's really picked things up. So yeah, you got to be consistent. It's not a hobby. If you want to find a deal or deals, you've always got to be looking every single day. Like you can't just say, oh, you know what? I'm going to send 5 letters out today and hopefully someone will respond. That's not how it works. It's numbers, and you got to be constantly sending, calling, texting, whatever you're doing, you've got to be constantly sourcing deals.
Yeah, you got to treat it like a business because that's what it is.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that, dude. It sounds like, so because especially you're staying in a central location, you found your list, and now at this point, it's just constant follow-up and relationship building. I love that, and I think there's a ton of value to that. The big thing I wanted to maybe revisit here is you mentioned consistency. Dude, I know we can go further into this, but like I see so many investors, newer investors, they go through that. They're like, I sent out 1,000 mailers, and then they took a month or 2 off because they were like, nobody called me, and they felt a little bit defeated, right? And so I oftentimes find that the biggest opportunities are often missed right when you stop showing up. And this has happened to me a few times. And so we had another member pick up a deal in my backyard because I just overlooked it and I stopped showing up. And so I've made that mistake more than once, but consistency is definitely the biggest ingredient. And then there's a quote I love that says the magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. So if you're looking to grow, 1, treat this like a business, and 2, start looking at what are you avoiding? What aren't you doing? And that's likely going to be the thing to get you to where you need to be. You've already touched on a few of these things, but I'm curious as to, especially as you start to grow your business and scale your portfolio, what are some of the big mistakes you oftentimes see people make that prevent them from, maybe it's from going from 5 to 10 or beyond that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, and I think, well, to start just from 0 to 1, the thing that I see is, like you said, consistency. People will, and overeducate themselves. They'll be year 3 of educating. It's like, what more are you going to learn? You're not going to learn. Truthfully, after like 6 months, there's not a ton more you're going to learn. Really, probably most people, probably 90 days. At that point, you got to start looking for deals. You got to underwrite deals every single day. And you just got to keep at it and consistent. And it's every single day. And it's not once a month or when you feel like it, right? You got to carve out time and you got to actually do it.
Yep.
For people to continue growing, I don't know. It's probably some of the same. And obviously I've gone through waves of some of that too. Just lack of consistency to where it's, you're not sourcing as many deals. Maybe you get a little bit happy with where you're at, right? You're just kind of like, oh, I'm good. I don't need to keep growing. For myself, and I've learned this over time, like growing doesn't have to be money centric. It helps business wise, right? Like you got to make money to stay in business, and pay your bills, but it's more just the personal challenge and who you're becoming along the way. To me, that's what's more important. And I think people don't do well with freedom. Excuse me. I don't think people do well with freedom. And my background sales. So I had a lot of freedom for the 14-ish years I was in outside sales, a couple different jobs. So I know how to structure my day when there's no one structuring it for me. I think a lot of people struggle with that, to where they're on Facebook, they're on TikTok, they're mind wandering. And I also see, probably keep going with a list of items, but it's that. And I also see people moving on to other asset classes, the shiny object. I see that probably more than anything. It's like they get maybe a little bit, either they get bored or they run into a little bit of trouble, or like, oh, this is kind of tough. Like, I don't know where to go here next. So maybe I'll just go buy whatever, a car wash, right? I'll just go in a different asset class. The people that are really making waves are the ones just sticking to one asset class. and diving deep on that. But yeah, those are the things that I see.
Yeah, I think that's tremendously valuable. I see that all the time. People move on to the next thing because they face some hurdles, or they think that they are experiencing more risk than they truly are. And they kind of talk themselves out of opportunities. But the truth is, even if you move on to another asset class, you're still going to face similar situations and
Yep.
problems. You're going to have to figure out how to navigate those. And the only way to learn how to navigate them is by sticking to one thing, getting really good at it. And the more you do it, similar to John, all this stuff gets a lot easier, makes more sense. And when it does, that's when you start moving really fast.
Yep.
So I'm glad you touched on that.
It's the same as a marriage, right? Like
Right.
you see people getting divorced and they're like, I wasn't happy. Guess what?
Yeah.
You were 50% of that. So whatever issues you had, or whatever, you don't have to call them issues, but whatever you're going through, you're going to take to the next relationship. Now there's obviously one-offs to where there's one person that completely ruins it. But yeah, for the most part, like you're probably bringing your baggage into another relationship. It's no different than, real estate investing or anything else. Like whatever you're going through, you're probably going to go through it in another asset class.
Yeah. I found too that the more you grow, the more your weaknesses are exposed.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
As you start to like some people think, well, all I need is 5 facilities. I need to make 15, 20 grand a month and I'll be good. And as you start to grow a little bit, everything starts to become more exposed, both mentally, professionally, personally, all of these things. And so like you had mentioned the marriage thing, right? Like people don't recognize how much they're actually caring that's affecting their ability to grow and scale. It's one of the reasons why, especially in the Storage Rebellion, we love talking about that stuff, like the personal development side of things. And I've had a few people actually reach out to me, and they're like, you guys talk a lot about the mental game or the mental side of things. Yeah, I don't feel like I really have that problem. Like I'm motivated. I want to go find success. I'm hungry, and okay, that's good. But once you actually start getting further down the road, that's when things start becoming exposed. And maybe you're motivated and that's great, but maybe there's some limiting beliefs from something that happened to you 10 years ago that you're not really aware of. And you're talking yourself out of an opportunity right now because you think you're making a smart move, when in reality, there's just an underlying fear, maybe a disbelief that you're not fully recognizing. I've experienced this myself, but this is another episode as well. But no, I'm glad you brought some of those things up. I wanted to quickly touch.
And I was going to say, not to cut you off, but I think people that stop at 2 or 3 or 5 or whatever, like, I'm good, they're probably avoiding something as well, right? Their weaknesses, maybe they're like, they may know whether it's top of mind or deep down. They're like, I'm up against something here to where I'm going to have to change as a person, and I don't want to do that. So I think it's both sides, right? Whether you're trying to grow and you don't, or you don't want to grow, there's something there that's stopping you from continuing forward.
Yeah. And I know you and I share a similar mindset in that we're very hungry to grow. We want to continue to grow. We want to create more. We want to build. And I feel like I should say this, I found this to be very helpful. So wherever I get to in business life, I'm always looking maybe 5-10 years down the road. Where do I want to be at that point? And one of the things that's helped me move a bit faster is constantly asking myself, if this is where I want to be, let's say it's 10 years down the road, whatever that looks like, who do I need to become now to fulfill that? Right? Because what you're currently doing isn't going to get you there. What got you here won't get you there. So you always have to reevaluate, well, what type of person, both professionally, both personally, right? So like you're mentally, physically, spiritually, relationally, all of these things. What type of person do you have to be to live that out? So let's hypothetically say, well, I want to have 20 properties. I want to have a $20 million portfolio. Okay, great. Ask yourself, what type of person fits into that seat? Who do you need to become? And the faster you can recognize that, you can start becoming that person now. and I think it'll help you move a lot faster. I also want to touch on, we've mentioned the Storage Rebellion a few times here, the different groups. You're now leading one of our higher level groups, the Storage Rebellion Insiders, which is a private
the higher level group, the highest level group
the
in the
highest
world,
level group,
right?
Yes, I believe so. We've really shifted this group, and with your help as well, we've taken a step back to ask, what do we really want this group to become, and what we're aiming for is shifting it into the highest level operator room in the country. And I think we're making, we're moving in the world. Yeah. And I think we're what we're doing right now has me really excited about this group. And we have an event coming up in April. But anyways, I wanted to quickly highlight, now that you've stepped into this group, maybe we could talk a little bit about what led you to maybe feeling called to step in and lead other storage operators at a high level.
Yeah, I think it's a few things. One, Storage Rebellion helped me get to where I'm at, not just professionally, but personally as well. So a lot of that is just trying to give back. I've got a podcast that literally I have nothing to sell that I've been doing for, I think, 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. That's part of that, is just wanting to give back. Cause I know along my journey, especially when I started, it's like, where do I go for information? Where do I go for success stories? Where do I go to learn about any of this stuff? So that's definitely number one. And number two is for myself. And I mean, I've had shiny object syndrome since I've started, and since 2014, I've always looked at other things to do. But as of about close to a year ago, I realized, like, I need to be 100% all in on self-storage and not casually look at businesses or whatever else to buy. So that brought me to, I should be in a high-level self-storage mastermind as well. Mm-hmm. Just because I'm going to learn from others, right? That's the best way to learn, in my opinion. So that's, that was one reason why I wanted to kind of come back. And then, there's kind of, I guess, an opening to lead the group. So just kind of all fit into one. But yeah, I was just giving back, and, that's definitely the main reason.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'm super pumped to have you in the group. I think you're the perfect fit for the direction we're moving in. Like I said, we have our event coming up April 14th through the 16th. We're going to be in Orlando, Florida. And I'll say this is probably, because you've been in the group for a while now, I will say this is probably one of the strongest lineups I think we've ever had. And we have some incredibly successful operators, investors, people have done $5.5 billion in storage transactions. And so really excited for this event. Excited to have you there with me. Before we go, I'm curious if there is anything you want to leave folks with today that you feel can make the biggest difference in their life, either personally or professionally.
Wow, you didn't give me a chance to think about that.
No, I put you right on the spot.
The most powerful piece of advice
I did not have this written down. This just came to me, and as it was coming to me, I was like, yeah, I want to see what he has to say here. So it has to be good.
Yeah, no, it's funny because it's good, but it's very boring. But in my opinion, it's the secret to success in anything, and that's just being consistent and doing the thing you're going to do. Like, if you want to shed 10 pounds, are you going to work out 3 times a week? Or are you going to work out 7 times a week? Mm-hmm. Right? It's boring and it's not fun, and it's terrible month 6 or year 6, but it's just consistency. And 99.9999% of people are not consistent. And I saw that growing up in basketball. I saw that, I've seen that in the 9-to-5 world. I see that in real estate investing. Most people are not consistent. They're consistent, but not in the things that will get them to where they want to go. It's more of they're consistent with distractions, right? So it's being consistent, taking distractions out of your life, and just being nose down and grind. And some people may be turned off by that, but I don't see what I'm doing as a grind either. I really enjoy what I'm doing. So yeah, I think that's really, it's a simple, it's not really a secret, but to me, that's like the success. That's the secret to any type of success in anything, relationships, business, anything. That's the secret. It's just being consistent and not giving up. And you're gonna have hurdles. You just got to keep going and stay with it. And who you become along the way is really more important than what you kind of make as far as money wise or anything else along the way.
Oh, 100%. As far as consistency, there's a good book behind me, Atomic Habits, which dives deeper into that. Dude, yes, consistency might sound basic to some people. And I want to highlight this because I think it was Kobe Bryant who may have said, the reason why I'm the best player in the world is because I've never steered away from the basics.
Yep.
And so Kobe would train religiously and his focus would be on the basics. And I think oftentimes people overcomplicate things. They're always looking for something they're like, well, it can't be this simple, right? And so surely I'm missing something. But if you're just consistent with the basics, I think you'll be surprised how far you can go. John, thank you so much for being here, brother. How can people find you?
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. People can find me Facebook, Instagram, John Farling. You should be able to search either way. Have a podcast, the Do More podcast, and obviously over at the Storage Rebellion.
I love it. John, thanks so much for your time, dude. Looking forward to connecting again soon.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Storage Rebellion Show. For resources, support, and a community that has your back, visit storagerebel.com. We'll see you next time.